when my uncle passed away, so thank you so much.
That's going to be Carlos Betancourt, 6305 Jackson. I came today with knife in hand, but I've had my fears quelled. I appreciate your service as counselor, and I want to thank Senator Menendez. Okay?
Thank you.
My name is Patrick Cullen, 7267th Street. My wife told me about your loss. I agree with you, Mayor.
Thank you so much.
At the 7-Eleven Planning Board meeting of 2 days ago, the Planning Board, 5 members said that they had 5 members present that could vote, yet Planning Board Attorney Samoas had told the 7-Eleven attorney before that meeting that they couldn't vote because not everyone had been at every meeting. So I'm just a little bit concerned about that. I'm also concerned with the way that permits were issued by 7-Eleven to be able to build this structure. And I'm also concerned that I found out from Mike at the tax assessor's office that not only is 7-Eleven paying the owners, Arnone, they're Italian, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, who used to own the service station there, they're not only paying a long-term lease, but they're actually receiving the tax bills that the town sends, and they're actually paying the taxes on this property. Apparently it's just for the land as it stands right now, because this is all incumbent upon the planning board approval. But the cart has way been put before the horse, considering that there are conflicting zoning board ordinances. I'm talking about West New York 414-15 Juliet 1 that says a parking lot cannot be 50 feet from a school. And I'm also talking about the conflicting ordinance of 415-25 Alpha that says that actually you could actually have a school on an adjoining property to a parking area of 3 or more vehicles as long as the parking area is no closer than 10 feet. I mean, what planet were these people on that wrote these contradictory ordinances? All right? I brought up at the meeting that our town, you want to save money, Mayor, our town pays crossing guards, I don't know what they pay an hour, to stop at controlled intersections, whether it be through a traffic light or through a stop sign. 7-Eleven lawyer would not allow 7-Eleven to pay an employee to be a crossing guard during the hours that people are traversing the egress and entrance to 7-Eleven, which I worked at a 7-Eleven in the Army, so I had to moonlight because I was a little behind on personal responsibility. And I moonlighted, and I know that it's highly trafficked parking lot with cars coming in and out for 5-10 minutes, newspaper, giving a Slurpee, soda, tobacco, and then they're out. So there needs to be some crossing guard there. 7-Eleven will not pay for it. So what's going on with that? I want you to consider that, and if anyone wants to make a comment on that, I have 2 other points here. In Capadogli, in one of the 2 documents that the parking authority signed with Capadogli, it states that no agreement or partnership or deal are allowed with the parking authority except with Capadogli. What is this? Is this like an at arm's length transaction where it's supposed to be, or is this like a public-private partnership? And the same 2 lawyers, Renata Webster and Jody, I don't know her last name, that helped broker this deal, they just got a $75,000 increase to the $30,000 that they're already paying this year. And finally, I would like to know, does the mayor, do you appoint the executive director of the parking authority?
Yes.
You do? Okay. Was there any discussion?
I'm sorry, excuse me,
The members to the board.
The members, yes,
The
sorry.
The mayor appoints the members. to
The members, yes.
And then the members appoint the director?
But the parking authority appoints the director.
Right,
And the
because
parking
that's-
authority appoints the attorney. And before you go on,
Yes.
about this, I watched, through the advantage that I have of watching the videos
Right.
of these meetings, I watched how you were treated at the parking authority meeting, and I have to apologize on behalf of the attorney
Thank you, sir.
for treating you that way. And when a member of the public asks a question, even if it's the same member of the public always asking a question, they're entitled to an answer. And I'm glad you brought that here today, and I'll be watching all of the boards to make sure that the board meetings are conducted.
My arm was long enough, I'd reach across the table and shake her hand. I greatly appreciate that, because even in the agenda it says 5 minutes to ask questions. So I posed that. Well, doesn't that presuppose if you ask a question, you should be entitled to a response? You can say, I don't know, or whatever. Mrs. Skrinsky, I really appreciate the fact that the mayor brought you in here. I have to applaud the mayor on this action, because I found nothing wrong other than innuendo, speculation, and gossip about the internet. I'm not interested in what Bergen County talked about. I'm interested in Hudson County and West New York, all right? But I do want to say for the record, though, that Mr. Rivera was short-sheeted. He was not given a performance evaluation standard from day one when he was hired, which he would be expected to measure up to. He was not. And yet he was shown the door. He initiated, the first time in history, and I worked at the Parking Authority, an employee handbook, so every employee would know what's expected of them, all right? He was blackballed, and I'd like to know why he was blackballed, all right?
The answer the attorney should have given you at the Parking Authority meeting is that personnel discussions cannot be made public because it violates the privacy rights of the individual employee. So
Right.
when you ask a question about personnel, you'll get that answer, that it's not to be made public. And you should have gotten that answer. at
So
the
I
meeting.
think, Mrs. Sprinsky, you've been spectacularly above board, and my last point, and I realize I'm pushing the envelope of the 5 minutes, and I'm not going to go beyond that. Mrs. Sprinsky, it would be a fair question to ask, so therefore there should be no interference from the administration to the West New York Parking Authority Board. Would that be correct?
The interference isn't the right word.
Let me check.
At the end of the day, the mayor, the buck stops here.
Right.
And at the end of and to that regard, the mayor is ultimately responsible for, everything that goes on in the city. And so, if you call it interference, I don't know, but I'm certainly not happy with what I've seen, and I'm hoping that in the near future, you're going to see some corrective action taken at the Parking Authority.
Thank you, Mr. Quincy. Is it an autonomous body, or does the mayor or any board or commissioner have their right to suggest how the board should conduct itself?
Not only does the commissioners have the right to suggest how the board conducts themselves,
Okay.
But the public has that right as well. And
All right.
and an expectation that they're going to conduct themselves properly and within the law. You may disagree with what they do, and you may disagree with the decisions that any elected official makes, but I don't call that interference.
I guess my last point, and I swear it's my last point, I commend you, Mayor. I commend you, Mayor, for appointing Richie Rivera to the Parking Authority. I think that was a shining moment on your part, and I would like to know, and somewhere if you could possibly let us know, or let me know, or whatever, you got members of the press here, why he was let go. I mean, I'm sure there are people sitting at this table that know why he was let go, and I think he was blackballed. And I think it's very unfortunate, because I think that this man is not a snitch, he's a whistleblower. That's how he stands in my book. He's a whistleblower, he's not afraid to speak. And I want to quote Mr. DeFino, whose father loved that poet Elizabeth Wheeler Wilcox. Can you please say that for me?
To sin by silence when we should protest makes cowards out of men.
The sin by silence when we should protest makes cowards out of men, and I'm no coward, and I know you're not a coward either, sir, in military training. So we need to stand up to the Godfathers. We need to stand up to the Albio series and the Richard Turners of the world. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, if there's no one else. Just one simple question. I'd just like to know when
The
was
record's
or...
John Hines.
Yeah, sorry.
What's your address?
78 Montclair Ave, Little Falls. I'd just like to know when was or is Mr. Garcia's last day with the town of West New York?
His last day commences when my first day begins, and that's on the 12th. The ordinance, by operation of law, abolishes all of the positions and allows for legal services to be provided by contract, which is what this is. So it's, I guess, May 12th.
All right, that's all, thanks.
Thank you so much.
Just, I got something to say, something I want to bring up. Go ahead, you go first.
Doreen Oriema, 1625 Hudson Avenue. I'm just here on a happy note, I would hope. We are organizing a group of residents, Women for West New York, and our group's intentions, here are the flyers, if anybody would like to come. And it's about just helping our community, whereas they can't get help when help is maxed out, no matter where they turn to. And we welcome everybody. It doesn't matter to us. I want to inform you guys here.
I can make copies.
Oh, I got a whole bunch
Oh,
of
okay, I didn't
flyers.
know if you had enough.
Yeah, I have plenty. I have them hanging outside too. So, just want to let you know that, once our group is totally organized, we are a nonprofit organization through the state of New Jersey. And once we're fully organized and start doing fundraising, families who may need assistance that they can't get help here, they can be referred to us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I have one for you too. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Angel Martin, 43258 Street, New York. Before anything, our condolence, right, on the passing of your uncle, right? Mr. Scarinci, with all respect, I have a question. All the tort suits that is involved in the town, actually, right, that are being represented by